At 82, you'd think I'd have most of life figured out. And in many ways, I do. But there is one decision I made that still weighs heavy on my heart: moving into a nursing home. Back then, it seemed like the logical thing to do. My children encouraged it. They said I'd have everything I needed: meals, care, companionship. And I believed them. I truly thought I'd be walking into a new chapter of ease and support. But the reality, it hit harder than I was prepared for. The truth is, a nursing home isn't just a new place to live. It changes your life in ways you don't fully understand until it's too late to turn around. Maybe you're watching this because you or someone you care about is considering the same path. Maybe you think it'll be safer, easier. Maybe you've been told, like I was, that it's the best thing for you. Before you decide, let me share 6 things I wish someone had told me. Things that could have made all the difference, because once you step through those doors, going back isn't always a simple option. Regret, number 1, losing my independence. The biggest shock? It wasn't the food or the unfamiliar walls or even the strangers. It was waking up and realizing that I no longer had a say in how I lived my life. At home, my days were mine. I chose when to wake, when to eat, when to read or go outside. If I felt like staying up late to listen to old records or cook breakfast at noon, I could. It wasn't much, but it was mine. In the nursing home, everything runs on someone else's schedule. Breakfast is at 7:30, even if your stomach doesn't wake up until 10. Lights out happens whether you retired or not. Want to go outside? You'll probably need permission, and you might wait an hour for someone to walk with you. I remember that first morning vividly. I reached for my book, expecting the quiet comfort of my favorite chair by the window. But instead, there was a stiff, hospital-style bed and an armchair that belonged to no one. My soul felt out of place in a room that had no memory of me. I learned quickly, the less control you have, the less like yourself you feel. And after a while, you stop resisting. You nod along when they bring you soup you didn't ask for. You learn not to ask for something off schedule. You fade, slowly. If you're considering this path, ask yourself, are you ready to hand over the little freedoms that make life yours? Because once they're gone, you realize how big those little things really were. Regret number 2, feeling forgotten. One of the cruelest realizations is that while your life stands still inside those walls, the outside world keeps moving. And often it moves without you. When I first moved in, my family visited. My daughter would bring me flowers or lunch on Fridays. My grandchildren popped in after school. It wasn't home, but their visits helped me feel anchored. But over time, life got busy. My daughter called instead of visiting. Then, even the calls grew shorter. My grandkids, full of love but busy with their own lives, came around less and less. Holidays hurt the most. The promises were always there. We'll come after lunch, or save us a seat at the table. But something always came up. One Christmas, I sat next to an empty chair, clutching a wrapped box of chocolates no one came to open. It's not that they stopped loving me, but when you're not present in their daily lives, you begin to disappear from their thoughts. I remember staring at my phone one quiet evening. I wanted to call my son just to hear his voice, but I put the phone down. I didn't want to sound needy. I didn't want to be that call he ignored out of guilt or exhaustion. That's the hardest part. You start convincing yourself not to reach out. And before long, loneliness settles in like a second skin. If you're weighing this decision, ask, can you handle being on the sidelines of your own family's story? Because even the best intentions fade over time and distance. It doesn't always mean miles. Regret, number 3, losing my sense of purpose. I didn't realize how much purpose was built into my days until it was gone. Before the nursing home, even the smallest tasks gave my life structure. Making my coffee, watering my flowers, folding laundry while humming an old tune. At the nursing home, all of that disappeared. Meals were delivered. Cleaning was done for me. I didn't even have a plant to water. And while it sounds luxurious, It came at a steep cost. I no longer had a reason to get out of bed. There was a man, George, a retired carpenter. At home, he was always fixing something, crafting little things for his grandkids. But here, he had nothing to build, nothing to shape. I watched the light leave his eyes slowly, day by day, as his hands grew idle. He told me one afternoon, "I feel like I've been shelved." And I knew exactly what he meant. We're not meant to simply exist. We need things to do, things that matter, even if only to us. If you're thinking about a nursing home, ask yourself, what gives you purpose? Because here, you'll need to work harder than ever to keep it alive. Regret number 4. Watching my health decline, faster than expected. Before I moved, I wasn't exactly a picture of youth, but I was holding my own. I cooked, walked, did my stretching each morning. I managed. But once inside the facility, my body began to change. At first I chalked it up to aging. But the truth is, the environment made it easier to slow down, until slowing down became stopping altogether. Why walk to the dining room when food comes to you? Why stretch when there's nowhere to go? My muscles grew stiff. My knees ached more. It became harder to get out of chairs. Tasks I once did with ease now took effort. And the less I did, the less I could do. Alice, a neighbor of mine, arrived full of spunk. She walked laps around the courtyard every morning. But gradually, she started skipping her walks. Then came the walker. Then the wheelchair. One day she whispered, "I feel like I've aged 10 years in 6 months." And honestly, so did I. In places designed for comfort, it's easy to forget that movement is life. And once you stop moving, the decline comes faster than you expect. Before you choose this path, ask yourself, will you fight to stay active, even when everything around you says you don't have to? Regret 5. Losing my privacy and dignity. Before I moved into the nursing home, I had a quiet, sacred space to call mine. My bedroom was my retreat. I could close the door, light a candle, sit in silence, or cry, or laugh, or just be. No one interrupted that space unless I welcomed them. But inside the nursing home, privacy becomes a rare privilege. People walk in and out of your room constantly. Nurses, aides, maintenance workers. Most of them kind, but all of them working on a schedule that isn't yours. They knock, yes, but they don't always wait. Your space becomes part of a system, and your body? It does too. I never thought I'd need help getting dressed or showering. And when I first did, I felt embarrassed in a way I can't quite explain. It was not just that someone had to assist me, it was that I had no choice but to let them. That choice had been taken from me. Even basic decisions, like what to eat or when to bathe, get filtered through availability, staffing, or policy. If you don't like Tuesday night's casserole, well, you'd better hope someone has yogurt left in the fridge. And then there's sharing a room. I was lucky to have a kind roommate. Quiet, thoughtful, but not everyone is. I heard stories from down the hall. Roommates who shouted through the night, who never cleaned up after themselves, who refused to turn off their blaring televisions. Imagine losing your home and your peace of mind in one move. There's a quiet erosion that happens when you are no longer allowed to be alone on your own terms, when you're spoken to as if you're fragile, or worse, invisible. Your sense of self starts to slip away. Ask yourself this: how much does privacy matter to you? Because dignity isn't just about being treated kindly. It is about being treated like a person who still has a voice. And that voice can fade fast when you were one among many in a place designed for efficiency, not individuality. Regret, verse 6. Thinking I could just leave any time when I moved into the nursing home, I told myself, this isn't forever, I'll try it out. If I don't like it, I can always go home. That illusion kept me calm during the first few weeks. But what I didn't realize was how hard it would be to leave once I was in. My home sat quiet and empty, but over time, it stopped being mine. My kids had started clearing out what they thought I wouldn't need, selling old furniture, boxing up books, even talking about renting it out. not out of cruelty. They thought they were helping. When I finally said, "I want to go back," I was met with hesitation. "Are you sure? Can you really manage on your own now? It's safer here." And I couldn't blame them. After months of doing less, I wasn't as strong as I used to be. My confidence had shrunk alongside my physical strength. Tasks I once handled easily now gave me pause. I started doubting myself, and that fear made it easier to stay. It happened to others, too. I met people who came for just a few weeks, hoping to recover after surgery or illness. A year later, they were still there. Some because they didn't have a home to return to anymore. Others because they simply didn't have the strength to go. One man, Carl, once told me, "They say you can leave any time, but that's only true if you still have a place to land." He was right. The longer you stay, the smaller your world becomes. You begin to accept that maybe this is all there is. And the sad part? For many of us, it is. So before you step into a nursing home, ask yourself this: will you be able to leave when you want to? Or will life slowly close the door behind you until leaving feels impossible? Final thoughts. If I could do it over again. Growing older was never the issue. I've come to terms with gray hair, creaky joints, and slower mornings. What I regret is believing that moving into a nursing home was the only path forward. I walked in, expecting peace, safety, and companionship. What I found instead was a world that gently, but firmly, took away the parts of me I valued most: my independence, my voice, my routines, my privacy, my reason for getting up in the morning. That doesn't mean all nursing homes are bad. I've met caregivers here who are angels in scrubs. I've seen moments of real kindness and joy between residents. And for those who need full-time care, these places do serve a purpose. But for those of us still capable, those of us who just need a little help, it can be too much, too soon. If I could do it again, I would have explored more options. I would have looked into in-home support, meal deliveries, community services. I would have told my family, "Help me stay here a little longer. Done to rush me out of the life I've built." And if you are at this crossroads, take a breath. Don't make the decision out of fear. Ask yourself honestly, is this what I need, or just what's easiest right now? Because the life you're living today, the freedom to make your own tea, to sit in your favorite chair, to choose what shirt to wear, it might seem small, but it's those tiny freedoms that stitch together the fabric of who we are. They're worth holding on to. Thank you for being here with me. If anything I've shared resonated with you, if it sparked a memory, gave you pause, or helped you reflect, please leave a comment. Share what stood out. Share your story. And if someone you love is thinking about a nursing home, pass this along. They might not realize how big of a decision it really is. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing and turning on the bell so you won't miss future reflections like this one. Your support helps us keep these conversations going, for you and for the people who haven't heard them yet. Take care of yourself, stay strong, and most importantly, stay you.